Let's kick it.
Greetings, this is Brandon Frame from TheBlackManCan Incorporated, and I'm kicking it with Doree.
Accomplishments and accolades are no stranger to Brandon Frame, but what makes him extraordinary is the humility and servant leadership that marks his life. With the education he received at Morehouse College, Brandon has applied his passion for business and education towards the goal of creating concrete avenues for youth to develop into positive and upstanding men and women. His organization, TheBlackManCan, Inc., is an oasis of resources for both African American and global communities. In just 7 years, the organization has gained an international following and endeavors to change and promote a positive narration of Black lives. The TheBlackManCan Institute, comprised of a network of over 200 mentors, has impacted over 3,500 young men, has traveled to several communities such as Atlanta, Georgia, New York City, and more to uplift, educate, and inspire young men of color. Brandon currently serves as the Director of Business Partnerships and Development at High School Inc. in Hartford, Connecticut. He is also the author of the critically acclaimed interactive journal, Define Yourself, Redefine the World, a guided journal for boys and men of color. Brandon is also the co-founder of the award-winning Twitter chat, #HipHopEd, and creator of the Power Couple Brunch. His work has been featured in the Boston Globe, Blackbridge Magazine, The Griot, CBS New York, Afro-American Newspaper, Fox Connecticut, and the Hartford Courant. His greatest achievement is being a community member who rises to the challenge of building a generation by being the example of the change he wishes to see. He is determined to be different, be great, and never stop. Welcome to the Kicking It with Doree show. Today, we're talking to Mr. Brandon Frame from Connecticut, and he is the CEO of TheBlackManCan Incorporated. He does so much in the community to uplift Black men and men in general, and just does lots of mentoring and different things that I think really need to be highlighted here in this month of June, which I like to think of as Man Month because of Father's Day. And so what we want to do in this show today is not only uplift men that are dads and that are building up that home that we should all have, but also highlighting those men that do extraordinary things. Brandon has let me know that he is a single man, and so he doesn't have all those responsibilities that Father's Day might bring, but he is doing so much to contribute to the community and our society, really, because I feel like the society that we have here in America is in a real crisis without the leadership of Black men and men in general in their homes. Welcome to the show, Brandon. I'm so glad to have you here with us today.
Absolutely. I'm so honored to be here, and I am excited to share and just have this discussion as we, enter, the month of the man. And, again, just for thinking enough of me and the work that I'm doing to have me on your show. It is truly an honor.
Of course. Little quick backstory, everyone. I, air quotes, met Brandon on Twitter many years ago. I believe I was doing some freelance journalism. I was writing for some online magazines and things like that. And we got linked up together with some kind of projects where we were doing, I think there was an organization that was doing a daddy-daughter dance, and there were some other people that he recommended to me that later became people that would be influential in my book about relationships from the single Black father's perspective, which is called Ending the Blame Game. And so Brandon and I have remained in contact, and I just love social media. It just makes the world so much smaller, and you just never know who you can touch and who can help you and who you can help. So even though Brandon and I have not met in person, I do remain a staunch supporter of him. And when I thought about June and Father's Day and men, I thought Brandon is an exemplary man who can really contribute to this conversation about these things that are going on. So first, what I want to do is ask you, Brandon, about the man behind TheBlackManCan, Inc. You've been involved in servant leadership for a number of years, and you really care about your community, and you've made this thing spread across the country. Tell us more about you and how you came to become this catalyst for mentorship.
Great question. I guess my mom and my grandmother and my grandfather laid a really strong foundation for me just growing up. I think, kind of like they They maybe knew the potential that I had inside of me, so they just laid a strong foundation. And I think what was the water that made the flower grow, or the rose that grew from the concrete, was Morehouse College. And at Morehouse, you can go to a lot of schools and you can get a great education, marketing, political science, history, and the list goes on. But what Morehouse gave me was the positive self-identity development that I needed to have as a Black male in the world in order to pursue excellence with impeccable effort. And so by getting that type of knowledge and that type of everything just poured onto me by attending Morehouse College, it put me in a place to be where I'm at now. And while I was a student at Morehouse, I started mentoring. And that's when I realized kind of like my passion, my purpose, happened to be around outside of business and investments and stuff, but was also just in education and youth development. And so from there, I decided to pursue that. And that's kind of where the idea of the Black Man Can first started, because I was doing mentoring and I brought students to Morehouse. And through that experience of them seeing Morehouse, I made an observation that boys and men need to see positive images of themselves and have their stories told. Therefore, I have an obligation to follow through on it. When M.K. Asante, he's one of my favorite scholars, and he says, once you make an observation, you have an obligation. And so I kind of live by those words. And so that's exactly what I was able to do. So I made the observation that, we need to promote positive images of boys and men of color, tell those stories, and therefore I have an obligation to follow through on it. In April of 2010, I did just that and started the Black Man Can. But all of it starts back just being a young Black male in America. And even when I look at that, it's such a different experience. I feel like it's such a different experience now than it was back then. One, because there was no social media. And then two, I think about what the trauma that young males take in now, especially what they see from TV, or the killings of Black men on social media, where in the whole idea of Black Lives Matter, and when I was maybe a teenager or even a preteen, there was no concept of Black Lives Matter. I think about those type of differences now as opposed to back then to now. But overall, again, my mom, my grandmother, grandfather laid a really strong foundation. I met my dad later on in life, and even that probably played a role in my development, not necessarily having him in my life through my adolescent and teenage years.
Yeah, and you're right. When I think back, I'm like, even though we met on social media, it was like, it's completely different now. The things that we can see, going live, or watching live streaming on social media and things like that. Like, everything is just so instant and it's so impressionable to our young people. And as someone who has mentored many groups of young girls and middle school and high school girls, I understand how strong of an influence the media is on our young people. It influences adults too. They kind of get it twisted like it's just, it's not a big deal. They can handle it. It's entertainment. It's whatever. But for kids that are just coming up in this age, that reality TV is normal. It's normal to see everyone's business. It's normal to see these shootings just happening right in their stream, in their feed. It's a completely different mindset. You're right. You are the author of the interactive journal that's called Define Yourself, Redefine the World.
Yeah, so we created the journal in 2013, or it released in 2013 as a journal to help young men develop positive self-identity, build critical consciousness, and learn how to process emotions through written reflection. I created it because I journaled when I was younger, and as I've gotten older, I realized those are the three components that I was able to do when I was younger, which helped me navigate life as a young Black male. And so essentially that was the tool that I used. And so I wanted to create a similar tool for young men to be able to navigate the world. Because when you can process your emotions, when you can, through written reflection, and when you just write stuff down and you reflect on what you write, it can really help move you and help you make practical decisions that will help you make the right decisions and not necessarily have impulsive decisions that could lead to not so great things. Because I just want to create that tool for young men to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, journaling is great. That's all I preach about is journaling and self-reflection, and how important that is to be able to process thoughts and be able to unleash things that are private. They're things that you don't have to, necessarily get them, spell checked. You don't have to pass it by anybody for approval. These are your thoughts. It helps you to decompress. It helps you to sort things out. So I also am a great advocate of journaling and writing. As I am a writer, I have to always jump in with my 2 cents when someone talks about writing. But it seems like boys and young men are not encouraged to write. They might be encouraged to do things that have more to do with, math or physical things or athletic things, but not so much pushing things that require critical thinking or intellect. And so I admire that, you're involved in many programs that do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You've got something that you call Black Men Mondays. What is that?
Black Man Mondays. So I like that you're asking me all these really cool questions here. I appreciate it.
I know. I'm just throwing them out at you.
Black Man Mondays. So the TheBlackManCan has grown from a blog to a nonprofit organization, and we have a large social presence. We have about 23,000 followers on Facebook. Everybody go follow us. We have about 84,000 followers on Instagram. Everybody go follow us at TheBlackManCan. But as we continue to promote the positive images and narratives digitally, I wanted to think about what's more ways we can be innovative as an organization to inspire others, as well as what we are called TheBlackManCan. So therefore, as we build an audience, we have a responsibility to showcase the amazingness of Black men. We have a responsibility to put other Black men on. So if I have a platform of 84,000 people, and I know there's some guys out there that want to be motivational speakers, who are motivational speakers, who are trying to reach the masses, well, we have a mass following. And so we have a responsibility to put those Black men in a place to showcase their stories, their narratives, and to inspire others. And so that's what Black Men Mondays is. So we wanted to make a day where every Monday we're going to release a motivational video from a Black man. And so that's what it is. The first shoot that we did, we had 25 men show up. Everybody did 1, 2, or 3 videos. So essentially we have enough content right now to go from when we started, which was in April of 2017. And we have enough content to go till April of 2018. And what we're going to be doing most likely in the fall is we're going to do another shoot. And hopefully I'll get 52 guys to show up, because there's 52 Mondays in a year. And so even though we have enough content to go till all the way till sometime into 2018, the goal is that we'll do another shoot later this year. And we'll have enough guys to show up so that we'll have every single Monday covered for the entire year of 2018. And each Monday will be a different guy with a different story of his journey, or how he inspires others, or his words to help inspire others. And again, it's just an opportunity for us to put other men in a position to share with the audience that we're building, or the following we're building, the fans that we're building, because people want to see positive images of boys and men of color. People want to hear inspirational messages from boys and men of color. And as an organization, TheBlackManCan, where we focus on celebrating, educating, and inspiring boys and men of color, we have a responsibility to do that.
Absolutely. Yes, we definitely need to see more positive images, and not just what we're used to, those stereotypical images that we've all seen and are all too familiar with. Let's shift a little bit into another space, which is what you call falling Black in love. I really want people to understand that although you are doing great work, and that really men are the best people to mentor other men, that women have a very strong influence on men. You've mentioned many times your mother, grandmother, aunts, and other women in your life that have had a huge influence in raising you and helping you to shape you into who you are today. And, as men get involved with relationships with women, we have a responsibility, because we have influence, we have feminine wiles and charms too. And so what we want to do is, we don't want to, abuse those things. We want to be able to also help support our men and our relationships, our brothers, our colleagues. And so I want to talk about the falling Black in love, but I also want to talk about ways that women can help support men, and maybe things that you have heard when you talk to different people in the community and in your programs. The kind of feedback that you get, there's probably some different themes that come up over and over again and things that you might give a message to women. That's what we want to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Falling Black in Love is essentially another initiative or outlet of the Black Man Can, where we focus on promoting positive like images and narratives of love. And so our major event that ties to that, aside from the images that we post and using that hashtag, is called the Power Couple Brunch, which is an event to bring people together to have a conversation on balancing love, work, and everything in between. Because what I've realized the challenge that people face is you start off boyfriend, girlfriend, then you become fiance, then you become husband, wife, then you become mom, dad, then you become, and you all the while you're still trying to chase your dreams. And so all of those things are like, they're all different roles. They're all different things that go on, but they also all overlap. And so people have the challenges of trying to be your best self in all those areas. And so to create an event for people to come together to share the strategies and best practices in that area, because I think what we do now is we look at the internet, we look at photos, we look at, that's pretty much what we do. And then we say relationship goals. And I'm not saying that they're not relationship goals, but we don't necessarily know how people actually make their goals a reality. And we need to create a space for people to come together to share that.
Yeah, when people say hashtag relationship goals, it doesn't really say very much about what it is you're looking for. Like, I think that just like you want to win in life and you want to be strategic with the people you hang around, you want to win by being strategic about the alliances you have with the opposite sex. And so we all know far too well what happens when you get lined up with the wrong person and how much that can affect your life, depending on the circumstances, how young you've met them, and the decisions that you make. And I cannot state enough how important it is to try to have your head on straight before you involve anybody else, because when you love yourself, when you're committed to excellence, when you're ready to win at life and have your own personal goals, then you won't allow anyone else, male or female, to come along and try to control you or be manipulative or put you down or sway you from what it is that you need to do. So those relationship goals really need to be a little more specific. It's more than just, a sexy picture on Instagram.
Absolutely. First and foremost, a book that I would advise every woman to get, I think it's something you can read for yourself. I think it's a book that you can get and you can read with your significant other together and then have dialogue about it, is She Motions by T.D. Jakes. I think the book is broken down into various sections: a man's relationship with himself, a man's relationship with women, a man's relationship with his children, a man's relationship with God, a man's relationship with time. And all these different things are the different spaces in which men need support. And I think the book provides that. But I think for any woman to buy the book, buy 2 copies of the book and then say, hey, babe, let's, sit down and let's read through this and have discussion about it. I think that it would create a very powerful relationship. And then everything that he kind of talks about is steered back into scripture for those who follow the word and whatnot. It would be beneficial for you. But I think some of the things that women can do is, one, is encourage a man to know that he doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to commit to getting better. And I think the big word there is commit. You need to show that word commitment. Another C word that I think, all women like, but to really let a man know, is to have him be consistent. So it's one thing about committing, but it's another thing to be consistent. And when you add that piece right there, the next layer of that is encourage the good, no matter how small. I think that, men and women think differently on a lot of different things. A lot of us are really rational, linear thinkers, and we don't necessarily always think with our emotions. We just kind of make it this seems like the right thing to do, so I'm going to do it. And so, but encourage the good, no matter how small. If he just took the trash out, say thank you and be you look, I like the muscles when you're taking the trash out. I see you. Even something like that, because sometimes I think men are we're definitely, everybody's creatures of habit. Men are definitely creatures of habit, but we're creatures who constantly respond to positive things. So like if you tell us we're doing something good and constantly kind of praise us for that, we're going to continue to do it. I think that sometimes the disconnect that I find is that the question from on a female side is like, I don't understand why I need to tell you did a good job when that's what you're supposed to be doing. And I understand that thought process too. But one thing you always have to remember about men and how we operate, one of the biggest things that drives us, and sometimes this is good and bad, but one of the things that drives us are two things, is ego and pride. And so like, it's kind of like, sometimes you have to think about what's the best way for me to, as a woman, to speak to that ego and a pride in a positive way that allows for his ego and pride to operate from a place of love. So a lot of times ego and pride doesn't operate from a place of love. It operates from a place of being self-centered and selfish, but you want to work with your significant other to make sure that their pride and their ego operates from a place of love, because when it does, the things that he's going to do for you and the things that are going to happen in your relationship are going to be great, because everything that he's doing and how he's seeing the world and maneuvering through the world is from a place of love. And I think that that's really important. So in scripture, I don't mean to go so much to scripture, but that's what guides my life. And so, the Bible calls for men to love his wife as Jesus loves the church. And so that's heavy. When you just think about that one statement and you think about a man loving a woman as much as Jesus loved the church, that's a heavy responsibility. On top of all the other things that a man thinks he has to do because of social norms and a host of other things, right? And so I think that there's trauma that happens in different places when you can't meet the expectation. And so I think, mental health is really important. So even if it's, letting him know whether you're the person who needs to talk to, or if he needs to take time, I think you can always encourage your man. And even for yourself as a woman, it's like you can pray and see a therapist at the same time. Yes. And I think that that's important to foster that type of relationship within your marriage or your relationship. I think another thing that is really important is, again, we all know how important communication is, but I think the communication that has to be developed is a communication between you and your spouse where you can develop the comfortability to say to each other, hey, I need you to be my wife right now. For the woman to say, I need you to be my husband right now. Because I've met a lot of people who are great. They're great fathers, and I've met some great mothers. But I've met people who have not been the best wife or the best husband. Those are two distinctly different roles. The roles and responsibilities are completely different. And so when you see like divorces, sometimes it's because the person wasn't a great husband or a great wife. It wasn't because they weren't a great father. There is cases like that, but a lot of times it has to do more with like the love and appreciation and support that they showed each other, not necessarily the kids. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's important to foster the communication level to be able to have that conversation. And when you have that conversation with your significant other, it's not if they say that to you, you don't get offended. You just know what they're saying. Like, okay, it's time for me to be like, I need to be a wife, and the roles and responsibilities that come with that. I need you to be my husband right now, within the roles and responsibilities that come with that, which are usually mutually exclusive of your career, of being a dad and everything like that. And I think creating a relationship where you are comfortable having those type of conversations will allow for you to have long-lasting love.
Yes, and then you can fall black in love.
Yes. I like how you did that. I should have said that. You got me there. That was good. Thanks.
My mind is always going, even while I'm listening to you. I've got tons of thoughts running around in my head. You got this initiative that you're doing right now, where you're doing a fundraising campaign. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so TheBlackManCan, we're going to be relaunching our website in the next week. And after that, we will be launching our fundraising campaign. And the goal is to get 5,000 people to give $25. It's a huge goal. It's an ambitious goal. I hope that everybody listening decides to join our village to celebrate, educate, and inspire boys and men of color. I want to create a community. I want to create a village of people who believe in Black men and boys, because what I found in like my polling is that, people would love to support an organization. People give to cancer, people give to AIDS, people give to a host of different things. And they know that when they give that money, it is going directly to AIDS research. It's going directly to cancer research, whatever form of cancer it may be. And the list goes on. And then I ask people, would you give to an organization where every single dollar you gave went to the life of a young man of color or a grown man of color? And they were like, absolutely. And so that's what our goal is as an organization, is to be that pillar in the community where, if you donate and you support the work that we're doing, it is going directly to celebrating, educating, and inspiring boys and men of color. And we invite every single person in the world to be a part of our mission to do that by giving $25. $25 is what it costs for one young man to participate in our programming. And so we just want to get as many people as possible, with our goal starting with 5,000 people, because if we get 5,000 people, that's 5,000 boys we get to impact. And I think starting right there with our first campaign would be huge, and we can grow from there, and we can really create collective change and sustainable change in the lives of boys and men of color for communities all over the world.
Now, how can we do that? Can you give us that information on your organization, the campaign, the website? I want to get all of your contact information so everyone that is hearing your voice can participate.
Yes, you can head to www.TheBlackManCan.org. And from there, you'll obviously see more about our organization and everything that we do. And then you'll see the infamous donate button, and you can go click on the donate button and you will be able to donate online. And then there will also be a place where if you feel you want to mail a check and you don't want to do the online portion of donating, you can also mail, and there will be an address there for you to be able to do that as well.
And Brandon, what are your social media hangouts?
You can catch all of us, The Black Man Can. On Facebook, it's The Black Man Can. On YouTube, it's The Black Man Can. On Twitter, it's The Black Man Can. And on Instagram, it's The Black Man Can. So please subscribe to our YouTube page. You'll see all of the Black Man Mondays and all the video content that we're putting out. Subscribe to, follow us on Instagram. Please join our community. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter and Facebook. That's where you'll get a lot of our blog posts, which are the positive news stories highlighting boys and men of color across the country. So all the different forms, you're going to get fed with we're going to get drowned in a sea of positive Black male news. You're going to be able to see like, wow, look at what men are accomplishing, what are men doing across the world, and know that while we may be inundated with negative images at times through other forms of media and different news sites and whatnot, there's a place where you can go and you can see the collective uplift that Black men are doing across the world. Yeah, the TheBlackManCan.org. Please check us out. And, we'd love to hear from you. If you want to bring an institute to your community, reach out to us. You want us to come and do some work at your school, please reach out to us. Again, we're that pillar to help move the needle for the lives of boys and men of color.
That is so awesome. This show should just make you feel really good. So again, everything is The Black Man Can. And if you missed that somehow, I have all the links in the show notes for this episode. So you could go to DereAllen.com and find this episode with Brandon Frame, and all the links that he just listed will be there. This has been a great introduction to the mentoring and the service that your life has been all about, Brandon. And I know that there's much more that you could say, but we have to go. Brandon, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much for having me again. It's an honor. I hope that I get to kick it with Doree again. And just thank you for supporting me, believing in me and the work that we're doing. And I'm happy to make sure that we stay connected all the way throughout. I look forward to meeting and sharing in your awesomeness in person.
Me too. Thanks. If you like this show, I'd love to have your support. Visit patreon.com/kicking it with Doree, without the G, to learn more.